Giesu June. Hi, sweetheart. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for your time. I have so many questions for you today because I can't even answer these anymore, and I need people that I'm a big fan of finding people that actually know what they're talking about. They're not just pulling information out of thin air, which seems like so many people do that nowadays. So we're going to get some information. We have questions for you, and I'm also going to bring on. Give me a second. Kamaran Khonsarinia. He is the vice president of Newfdie. This stands for the National Union for Democracy in Iran. Kamaran John, good to see you again. Both of you have been a guest on my morning show, Fox 5. So thank you for doing that. It helps us explain what's happening to Americans here. And thank you for giving me your time here on social media so we can talk a little about this.
گیسو اینجا تعارف نکن خودت اول برو.
We start with the تعارفing. This is the Iranian way of saying hello. نه شما بفرمایید. نه شما خواهش میکنم.
Thanks for having us on. And yeah, happy to answer any questions because I know a lot of people are newer to activism who are in the diaspora especially. And I think it's so amazing because we've never really seen this surge of interest. But they may also be confused when they see executions. The reality is that there have been a continuous stream of executions for years in Iran. So it's nothing new, unfortunately. It's just that we now have new energy and new ways and new political will around the world to try to address what has been an ongoing problem that really nobody has sufficiently cared about to the level.
You are absolutely correct. I mean, this has been going on for years and years and years. All eyes are just on Iran now, and it's been happening all around the world, in particular in Iran. It's been an issue. Kamaran, I want to first roll it back for a second because I can't tell you how many messages I've received from people. I'm sure you both have received the same. And people that I talk to that say, what happened? There was this big movement, this big force, this big energy. Everybody thought this is it. Things are going to change. And then has something changed or has the energy shifted?
Well, first, thank you so much, Shali, for having me on, for having Newfdie on. It's always a pleasure to be with you and so good to be with my friend Giesu as well. من درود میفرستم به همه بینندگان عزیز و محترم، حالا چه امریکا باشن چه ایران باشن که شاید به زبان فارسی از راحت تر باشن و از هممون از طرف هر ستامون عذرخواهی میکنم که بیشتر برنامه رو به زبان انگلیسی قرار اجرا بشه، ولی فکرمون با شماست. هدفی که فکر میکنم شالی جان دارن، گیسو جان دارن و بنده دارم که امروز به زبان انگلیسی صحبت میکنیم این هستش که صدای شما به یه نحوی، به نحو کوچیک خودمون برسونیم به کسایی که شاید فارسی بلد نباشن، شاید اصلا امریکایی باشن. بنابراین با اجازه دوستان فارسی زبانمون به زبان انگلیسی ادامه میدم. Again, thanks, Shali, for having us and pardon that quick Persian interjection. But to answer your question, it's actually in line with what Giesu just said at the top, which is there are lots of ups and downs in movements like this. Giesu's been doing this for far longer than I have. There are people who have been doing it for even longer, of course, and I know you as a journalist, I'm sure, have covered so many different stories that have these ups and downs. But it's important to look at the Islamic Republic and these crimes, whether it's somebody like Obaidou, who's facing imminent execution, or people executed just last week for just absurd things. To look at this in the 44-year context of the Islamic Republic, and while it's obviously okay, and it's not only okay, but totally makes sense to be frustrated, to be down, to be sad for the lives that are lost. I always think it's important to have a bit of positivity and take a bit of context with, as you said, this is the most attention Iran has gotten, and that the Iranian people and that their plight and that their 44-year fight for freedom has gotten in all these 4 decades. Because for so long, particularly in the city that I live in Washington, and I know Ghisu obviously spends a lot of time here for her work as well. Iranians were really ignored. Their plight was ignored. Those who talked about human rights and democracy in Iran were really libeled and slandered as warmongers or as agents of foreign powers. And so the fact that that narrative has changed wholesale in Washington, and that we have seen also, as Ghisu said, this new wave of young activists and Iranian Americans really at a grassroots level from across the country getting involved and forcing their politicians to act, forcing the media to act, acting really as proxies for Iranians at home who can't use their own voice because they're silenced by the Islamic Republic. It's important to take those small wins, I think, and put them in one's belt, and not be satisfied with those wins, but use it to build up one's confidence, because the ultimate goal that I think so many of us have of a secular democracy in Iran is really only possible, obviously, when the Islamic Republic is gone, and overthrowing a regime that has as much power and control as this regime does is not an easy task. It will take time. It will be difficult. It won't be easy. And so it's important, I think, to just remind ourselves of the progress that's been made, because if we simply look at that ultimate goal and only measure success against that, then we'll always be disappointed. So it's good, I think, to keep in mind these sort of wins that the Iranian people have had in the past 6 to 7 months. So certainly this movement has taken on a different form. It's not mass street protests every day as it was at the beginning. But that, I have no doubt, will be happening soon again. But it's taking different forms, and we can, of course, get into that. But I just wanted to add that at the beginning, and sorry for going on so long.
No. It's all really good information, and it's information that needs to be heard, because if this is what the feeling of many people, I mean, there was a big sense of hope with everything that we had seen, and you saw all hands on deck for months. I mean, these were, as Ghisu mentioned, you both mentioned, just people that were never involved in anything that had to do with Iranian people, their life, what was happening there. And then it just seemed like it simmered down. So there is still movement. There is still stuff happening. Is that what you're saying?
I'll let Ghisu jump in, but the short answer is yes. And revolutions like this, movements like this, they take different forms. Sometimes it's protests in the streets. Sometimes it's other forms of civil disobedience. Obviously, many people are looking to strikes and what role that might play. So it's still ongoing. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be.
You mean like labor strikes?
Yeah, labor strikes inside Iran. And we see some of that at different, particularly in the energy sector and different oil production facilities across the country, particularly the Khuzestan province, which is obviously Iran's oil-rich province, but despite that, an extremely destitute province because of the Islamic Republic's corruption and really, in my view, hatred for the Iranian people. So it's not going to be easy. I think there were people at the beginning who thought that this was going to be maybe a walk in the park, and we have these protests, and we have some foreign leaders expressing solidarity, and the Islamic Republic is not going to go away with Emmanuel Macron saying something good about the Iranian people. These things are difficult and they take time, and so it's also a game of management expectation, I think, or expectation management, I should say. And so that's important, and just not losing hope. So it's ongoing, but it's not going to be as easy as snapping your fingers.
Okay.